And we're really excited to have Dr. Dillon Small here from the Air Force Academy. When we talked about having a aviation mental health symposium, we talked about our keynote speaker, and we had a lot of different ideas. But when we kind of put it under the envelope of mental wellness, and as we talk today, it's about not just reacting to mental health, but also being on the preemptive part of it. And that's what Dr. Small is going to talk about today, and why we're really excited to have him here. So I'm not going to go through his whole bio. You can all see it. A ton of experience working with Division I athletes, fighter pilots, cadets from the Air Force Academy. And so he's been through it all, his own military career as well. All his clinical training has kind of led him to the point he's at now, where he's the director of peak performance at the Air Force Academy. So really excited to have him here, and happy to introduce Dr. Dillon Small.
Hey, I'm like real good at yelling, so can I just get mic check? Can you hear me? We got it? You can hear me? Can't think of a better place to be on a Tuesday night. This is good. It's good for us to be together. It's good for us to talk about this. What a powerful day we had talking about mental health over in Battle Creek, talking about mental wellness. There's a lot of talk about mental fitness. I care deeply about this, for sure. Hey, I flew here from Colorado Springs. I flew in last night, and I'm struck as I sit on the plane thinking about the fact that I just put my life in the hands of those pilots, in the hands of the maintenance crew, in the hands of the engineers that made that plane, in the hands of the ATC that figures out how to get us safely on and off that tarmac in and out of that airport. I do believe deeply that the role of aviation is kind of sacred. I mean, think about the world we live in today. It needs you and what you do. We entrust our lives to you. I have a vacation with my wife and kiddos in a week and a half, and I'm loading in that plane to go enjoy time, trusting that we're going to get there safely. And it's because of what you do. So I honor you. I honor what you do. I honor your training. I know it's not easy. The career can be demanding and also so rewarding. So before we begin, just off the top, can I just say to you, thank you sincerely for what you do, for all of the hard work you put in, for the squirrely hours, time away from family. I know it's tough, and this world needs it. We need you. We need you to do this stuff. Is that all right? Is that cool? Cool. Hey, I want you to know that everything we talk about today is deeply rooted in the science and the practice of performance psychology. And also, everything we talk about today is strictly my opinion. I do not represent any government agency. I do not represent any academic entity. These are all my opinions. And if you have a problem with it, you can come after me, no one else. I also want to say a sincere thank you to the whole team, UND, Western Michigan, the John Hauser Initiative Fund, for sponsoring all of this. This has been lovely, really lovely, super cool. I care so much about building durable mindsets. A durable mindset is something we're going to talk about here soon, and I could talk for hours about it. So we're going to spend the next 4 hours just going through durable mindsets. I'm kidding, we have an hour, so stick with me. We have an hour. We're going to make this engaging and immersive. I'll talk about your handout in just a minute. The first thing we're going to do is objective one, talking just a little bit about like what is a durable mindset? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How can we feel it in our lives? Do we even have it now? And then second one is that we can train it. So we're going to dig into training a durable mindset today. Can I suggest to you, in terms of your personhood, like who you are as a person, you can really train three things. You can train three things. You can train your body. We know how to train our body. We understand, I want to go run a marathon, and so I'm going to do this training routine. I'm going to increase my VO2 max and my cardiovascular endurance. We understand how to train craft. I'm going to suggest to you that all of your aviation training is training craft. There was a time where you had no idea how to even like properly navigate the flight deck to sit where you needed to sit. And now it's automatic. We train body, we get it. We train craft, we get it. I'd like to suggest then that the third thing that we can train in your personhood is your mind. And I'd also like to suggest that we probably haven't done this very much justice in the past, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, like education has basically kind of shown us, hey, here's the craft, now go and do it. And we put in reps and we try and figure out how to like make sense of it all. And it's been fine. I'd like to say though that I think training the brain is the next echelon of high performance. Like really digging into core concepts rooted out in the evidence that show us the brain can be trained in the same way that we can train body and craft. And we're going to do that today. We're going to talk about some key principles for training your mind. Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? So the objective one, let's do this. Let's talk about what's the nature of a durable mindset. Hey, you have a handout. The handout is partly for you to jot down some notes and track with me where we're at. I would love it if this was also an opportunity for you to engage with yourself a little bit on where you're at with these concepts. So there's a bit of like a fill in the blank portion, and this isn't kindergarten, I know it, but our brains really love when we get to write stuff down. I know not all of you brought pens, right? I'm seeing it, like I don't have a pen. Be good friends, maybe share a pen if you've got it. We have, I think Jason and I collected maybe 5 or 10 back there on that back one. So share a pen. Otherwise, you're going to have to store it in your short-term memory and then jot it down when you get home. But on your handout, I'm asking you to maybe do a quick little check ride on yourself. Hey, what principles, what qualities of a durable mindset do I currently possess? So let's go through these together. The first one is an internal framework that can honor stress. Okay, what do I mean by an internal framework? Like your insides, the part of you that thinks and feels and rationalizes, the part of you that tries to make decisions on where we go next, the part of you that anticipates scary things or really good things. That's the internal framework. What we want to work on together today is helping to like fortify that internal framework so that the future, however ambiguous, is something that we look at with like optimism and excitement, knowing that we can handle stress, adversity, and challenge because we've trained our brain to be able to do it. The first hallmark of an internal or of a durable mindset is an internal framework that can honor the role of stress and recognize it. We're going to talk a lot about stress today. Because we recognize the role of stress, then, we can lean into discomfort. Many of us, me included, the initial reaction when we feel uncomfortable is to lean away. We react by moving from it, sometimes aggressively. A durable mindset can say something like, man, this is uncomfortable and there's goodness here and I can lean into it because of that. When we press into discomfort and we're doing it in a way that recognizes it's valuable, it opens up our ability to then make thoughtful decisions even when we're in stress modes. We say stress isn't all bad. I can let my brain be thoughtful and intentional even in the midst of stress, and I can make thoughtful, intentional decisions because of it. We take thoughtful actions, and we love the process. I can think of grad school, I can think of parenthood, I can think of my military life, I can think of some professional encounters where I did not love the process. In fact, a lot of times the process sucked. It was hard. And what if, though, like the process just is the process? It's process over process over process. This is like life. Outcomes will happen. We're going to get there. But what would it be like to just simply love the process right here, right now? Absolutely present and aware and totally in on this process in this moment. Loving the process is part of a durable mindset. Choosing response patterns that are intentional because we're steady in chaotic moments. These are some of the hallmarks of a durable mindset. These are what we're going to talk about over the next 10 key principles tonight. So if you've got a pen, on that top part of your handout, I'm really asking you, do a little checklist. Like, where am I at? Where am I at with my durable mindset? In this way, having a mindset like this is really the ready position of a mind. If any of you have played sports, you know the ready position, right? It looks active and ready. Our legs are like a little more than shoulder width apart. Our knees are bent. We're leaning slightly forward, center of mass. I'm really stable right here. Someone could push me and I'm going to be ready to react and respond. If I'm on my heels, stiff and leaning back, I'm really pretty vulnerable to someone pushing me over. A lot of us on our internal, like the mental posture is on our heels, constantly stressed, trying to avoid becoming overstressed. Oh man, I don't know if I can handle more. we're really on our heels, and so something might come, like a surprise happens, and we're vulnerable to be pushed over. The durable mindset is this kind of like ready position of the brain, prepared to respond, ready for action, and open and okay with some uncertainty. We talked a lot about stress today. Like, it just organically came up in a lot of our discussions. I think it actually organically comes up in a lot of discussions everywhere. Social media, TikTok loves to like give us its 2 cents on how to solve stress or get away from stress. We talked about the Yerkes-Dodson law, where you've got like this arc of stress, and on one side is eustress, like we would call this productive or helpful stress. And then at some point, some magical, difficult, terrible point, it pops over into distress, and now it's bad. Right now, all of a sudden, our capabilities are overwhelmed, and I can't perform well. What's really interesting is high performers live on the edge of eustress and de-stress. I mean, elite performance comes right on that tiny little bubble where we're at the max of our capacities, and the challenge is great enough that we feel taxed. That right there, that razor edge is high performance. I'd like to suggest to you this, that in life, stress is inevitable. In fact, stress may be a good thing. Stress is the precursor to adaptation. I mean, think about all organisms, living organisms. They require stress to grow adaptively. If I have like a beautiful little seed of a flower, and I plant that thing, and I nurture it, and I take care of it, and I give it no stress, it looks nice. But the moment that I go on vacation and I don't water it, or heaven forbid, I take it outside and I set it in the sun, it crumbles. Think about kiddos crawling. They need to crawl, and they need to then stand and walk and stumble a bit. And we celebrate it. Good job, sweetheart. Good job, good job. And then they stand back up and they do it again. Stress is inevitable. In fact, stress is required. If you do not stress an infant, they won't grow the musculature to stand up eventually. They've got to feel what it's like to move their heads up. Parents, you know tummy time? You know tummy time? They lay on their tummy and they have to lift their head up and they hate it. But they need to grow the musculature to be able to withstand life. Stress is hard when we don't have the skills around it, but stress is necessary for us to continue to move forward in this world. We're going to talk about some of the skills to manage stress, to accept stress as inevitable, and also perhaps as like a performance enhancer. Just like if you're in the gym and you pull on a personal trainer to stress your system, you learn form and function first of the movement. You can't just like load a bar up and then deadlift heavy weights. You need to learn first, what does it feel like to move in space and get used to this? And so we invite a trainer. And this is like very normal. In fact, we celebrate it. Like, look at me with my trainer. It's so cool. And my brand new water bottle. We're taking pictures of it. Could I encourage us that like, perhaps in the mental fitness space, we should be pulling on the training experts to help build our mental fitness, to help figure out the form and function, the movement of how it is to think in a way that's high quality, that's supportive, that can handle stress, that doesn't decompensate or fall apart when we feel overwhelmed with life. We partner together to grow our body and our craft, and we should do partnership to grow our mind as well. In fact, could I say to you that I think honoring our psychology is one of the greatest gifts you can give those that you are flying. I might even be so bold as to say, really, they're owed it. Their lives are in your hands. Ensuring that our mental fitness, the form and function, the comfort with moving weight and feeling stress in our brain is something that I think we owe the folks that we are caring for. We can do this together. So let's press in then. Let's talk about performance principle 1. There are many methods. All over the place are methods. Everyone has an idea for a method on how to grow your mental fitness. Could I say, however, that there are really only a few concepts that the science and the practice bears out? There are few concepts, but there are many methods. So someone might say, well, hey, like some mindfulness exercises or meditation is really beneficial. There are many methods of doing mindfulness. There are a few concepts. So if something's working for you, like rock and roll, let's go. You use it. If it's not working, move on, and that's okay. But if someone has suggested a method to you, and it doesn't check, like it doesn't sound like it might work, or you've got it from a source that might not be reliable, I'm encouraging you to go check it against some of the key concepts, and we're going to talk about some of them today. Here's one of the biggest ones, and this is on your worksheet. There are no hacks. There are no like magic golden bullets for your mental fitness. Imagine if you were building a house. You're building a house, and your contractor says, hey, no problem, we're going to build you a beautiful house, structurally sound, and you're going to move in 6 to 9 months, pending any like delays. And then I sneak in, and I'm like, yo, I got some great hacks. I can get you in this house in like 5 days. 5 days. I got some beautiful hacks to get a house built, just like that. Do you trust me as your contractor to build your house? I think for most of us, we would say, like, okay, but what about the integrity of the foundation? And are you actually thinking intentionally about the plumbing? And electricity is sketchy. So, like, are you doing that correctly? I mean, we would never just, like, hand over our house to a bunch of hacks. We are likely to do that. However, when it comes to our mental health, we're looking for, like, something to kind of magically fix us. And we're going to sources that I think oftentimes are less reliable. Good work in this space is needed, a commitment, a dedication to our mental fitness, our mental health is required. So this is hard work. Like, we'll just name it. It's hard work, but it's good work. It's necessary work. There are a few concepts. There's many methods, but there are no hacks. Performance principle 2. Hey, this one is always one I wonder about talking about, because I don't think we say this very often in settings like this, and yet I'm going to say it. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of love. Because you have breath in your lungs, and because you have a space in this world, you are worthy of love. We accept this pretty easily when we think about others. Like, others are worthy of love. We should care about the world. We should love the world. Like, yes. Why is it that when we say you are worthy of love, it takes a different tenor? I mean, what if I were to ask you, like, what do you do to validate to yourself that you love yourself? I love myself, and I'm worthy of care and attention and devotion. I'm worthy of work. My mission in this world, I'm like not so sure what it is yet. Like every day it unfolds, but I know that I'm here, and I know that I care about things, and I want to care about myself. You are worthy of love and care and attention and hard work. I think about a room together that says, I am worthy of love, and I'm worthy to like grow my health and well-being. And then we look at one another and we say, and you are worthy of love, and you are worthy of growing your health and well-being. I mean, what an impact. What an impact. You are worthy of love. You have breath in your lungs. You have a space in this world. We've got to learn to love ourselves. Performance principle 2 is we have to learn to love ourselves. And I say that because I'm about to like challenge you just a little bit. Yes, you are worthy of love. Exactly who you are right here, right now. It's good because you're you, but that's not the end of the story. I want to introduce you to Hadley. She's 7 years old now, but this is when she's like maybe 3 or so. Hadley is like this spunky spitfire of a girl. She's our middle kiddo. We have a boy, girl, boy, and she rules the roost. Hadley is a killer. She's like just incredible. I can remember Hadley as a little kid. We would she's still a little kid. She would be fumbling around hiking, and she'd be telling her brothers, "We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna keep it up." and then she'd get tired and I would carry her. I can remember Hadley needing me to rock her to sleep at night. And I would hold her, and I can get emotional about it because I love this kiddo. I love her so much. And also, just because she is who she is today doesn't mean that the story's done for her. So I kind of grieve the moments that then she starts to go to bed on her own. It's good. She must do this. She must grow up. She must go to school. She's got to learn to walk. She no longer needs me to sing her lullabies and rock her. And like my dad heart grieves and also celebrates. It's both that she's like beautiful and perfect right here, right now where she is. And at the same time, if I stop her from developing, I stunt something like beautiful. There is more to come for Hadley than this moment. So yes, you are worthy of love. And who you are right now absolutely matters. And at the same time, there's more to be done. The story is not finished. We've got to adopt a perspective that says it's both where we are now and where we're going. And where we're going doesn't have to negate the goodness that is this person right here, right now in this space. You are worthy of love. And this moment is the only one you got, actually. So, let's love on ourselves because of it. And at the same time, let's say, where are we going next? I would really love for you all to start to wonder that. And I'm asking you that on your handout. Where are you now? And also, where are you going? Having the both and perspective opens up the aperture a bit for us to say, this moment is hard, and yet also there's so much more to come. And aligning our actions in this moment with our future goals is a lovely way to start rooting into a feeling and an inertia that says, I have a place and a value and a mission in this world, and I'm going to go do it. Performance principle 3 is that it is certainly about honoring where we are right now. But that is not the end of the story. It's also about where we're going. Bless you. When we talk about where we're going, it's almost inevitable that we start to think about outcome goals. So you say well, okay, so where am I going? And then we've got all of these really discrete sort of outcomes. I want to graduate by this time. I want to fly this airframe. I want to make this much money. We come up with all of these outcomes. Performance principle 4 is really about our need to focus on process over outcomes. To focus on process over outcomes. I'm not ignoring the fact that outcomes matter. They do. Outcomes help show us that the training, the work is moving in a direction that we want it to move. We're going somewhere that's important, and the destination matters. But if we over-index, if we constantly pay attention to the outcome and then we judge ourselves based on the potential outcome, we lose touch with this very moment here, and we start to feel this unsettled, dissatisfied, I'm not good enough feeling. Outcomes are sort of always in the future. We live in this odd, unpredictable, anxious future if we're only outcomes based. High performance happens in this moment. True, genuine connection and love happens in this moment. Enjoying the beauty of a sunset or a song or looking at a picture happens in the moment. This is the process. It's the unfolding process of each moment to moment. We don't ignore outcomes, but we don't only focus on outcomes. And if in your mind you can think of all of the outcomes that you're using to evaluate your worth as a human, which is very normal for most of us, it's a beautiful sign for you to focus instead back on the process and enjoying the process. Elite sprinters are not elite sprinters 365 days of the year. They've got high performance and then low performance, and medium performance and then low performance, and then high and then really low, and it goes back and forth. And the goal is to periodize the training so they peak at the moment that they have their competition. Most of their life is spent not in a high performance domain, it's in the process. It's in the process. Enjoying the process, loving the process is a key to sustained effort and energy throughout your lifetime. when we tie loving the process moment over moment, month over month, year over year, decade over decade, incredible things happen. Incredible things happen. It's like instead of forcing myself to do things to feel like I'm a better human, I just kind of let myself be a good human and incredible things happened. Does that make sense? Just letting the process happen and enjoying it, giving our energy and effort in the moment is a powerful way to build this durable mindset. Process over outcome is our principle number 4. Principle number 5 is the voice in our head. Hey, I was in graduate school in Los Angeles, and we had a mindfulness class. And I thought, as someone who had never done mindfulness, I thought I get graduate credits to lay on the floor with my eyes closed. Sign me up. And that's exactly what I did. So for a whole semester, I got graduate level credits to lay on the ground and pretend I was mindful. And then the final was that we went up into the mountains of the Sierra Madres and we had a 3-day, 3-night solitude and silence retreat. So we handed in phones and computers. We handed in, we didn't have fancy watches at that time, but we didn't know what time it was. We were put into these little bunk houses that had a little washroom, no TV, nothing. And I could not wait. We took a shuttle up together and our little class was buzzing because this is gonna be so fun. You know, I got no homework. I just 3 days where I don't have to do a thing. And we show up and we hand all our things in and they walk us in silence to our rooms and they kind of point. And there still was this sort of ooh, this is gonna be fun. And I can remember sitting on my bed to start, kind of looking around and thinking okay, now what? And then time passes, and I'm still thinking, and now what? They rang a bell for dinner. So you would hear a bell, and that meant you could come get dinner. You could walk around the property. I'm guessing it was probably, 7 to 10 minutes in, I started to panic. I couldn't tell I didn't know how long I had been there. I was worried, what am I going to do for the next 3 days? 3 days, what am I going to do? It was the first realization that I could not just simply be alone with my thoughts. Isn't that a wild realization? You can't just be alone with your thoughts. I could not just sit there or walk around and entertain myself and just be present in the moment. I hadn't trained in that whole semester I laid on the floor and slept. So it was an incredible experience. It was scary. That day felt like years. I could not believe how long it took the sun to set. It was the first time I realized that I could not be with my thoughts. I want to talk about the voice in our head, but I want to do it first by doing a little social science experiment. So if you'll permit me, I'm going to push play here. Some of you may have seen this, and if so, it's all good. You follow along. If you haven't, then we're going to enjoy it together.
Today we're going to play a game specifically designed to test your spatial awareness. Meet the Brain Games Double Dutch team. Now, what does jumping rope have to do with the brain? Well, Double Dutch requires off-the-chart spatial awareness, and today these kids are going to help us test yours. For this game, all you have to do is keep track of the number of times that either of the girls in green jumps. You'll count each time one of them lands a jump, like this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As you can see, these jumpers are pretty quick on their feet, so you're going to have to pay attention to keep up. When the whistle blows, start counting. Ready? Go. So, how many jumps did the green team make? Did you say 38? If so, you agreed with 40% of our test audience. Now, some of you may be onto us, but for those of you who aren't, did you happen to notice anything else going on during the Double Dutch? Maybe a giant chicken strolling right through the middle of the set and doing a funky chicken dance? Now, some of you may have missed that funky chicken, but many of you probably saw it. And that's okay, because the chicken was just there to distract you too. Here's the real question. What color was the wall behind the double Dutch game? Here's a hint. It wasn't the same color at the end as it was when they started jumping. The back wall was changing color the entire time, from bright blue to bright red. Nearly everyone misses it. But why? It turns out there's far too much information coming in through the...
Okay, Doc, who got it? Who saw the chicken? Yes, we all. Did you know about the study beforehand? You knew? So you saw the gorilla one? Or okay. Did you know they also switched out the folks doing the jump rope ring? So in the middle of it, you saw that? Yeah, good. Cool. This is called the selective inattention bias. It's like a gold standard, been talked about forever and always, social psychology experiment. What does it tell us, though, about our process in life in terms of what we tell ourselves to focus on and pay attention to, and then how we interpret the world around us? If we give you a goal, we tell you to go do something, like count how many times the green shirts jump. You are a very good student, and so you do that. And the brain attends to the information that it thinks it's important, and it excludes all the other stuff. Could I suggest to you that the voice in your head, which has been around since you were born, is probably one of the main modes of what you're focusing on this world and how you're interpreting the world around you? And then can I ask you this question? If we took the voice out of your head, so this voice you've had with you since you were born, if we took the voice out of your head and we set it next to you, and it was like a buddy, it was a friend that came with you everywhere, and that voice has been with you your whole life, do you look at this person now next to you and do you say, thank you for your kindness? Thank you for having my best interest in mind and believing in me so deeply. And thank you so much that when things go well, you celebrate with me, and when things do not go well, you say, man, but you tried, and that's what matters. Let's go do it again. Is that voice warm and supportive and empathic? Is it like a best friend? Is it your own best coach? For most of us, the voice, if we were to take it out of our head and set it next to us, it's critical and it's harsh. It doesn't believe we have what it takes. And every once in a while, when it tries to convince you it does, it's like, I'm going to lie to you right now, but you got it, buddy. Go get it. And then when something goes wrong, it's like, see, I told you so. You should never do that again. Quit doing that. You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. Team, a durable mindset really starts and ends with what we tell ourselves. The voice in our head is critical. What we tell ourselves to focus on, we will. And that will code the way we interpret the world around us. We just saw it. If you're telling yourself you do not have what it takes, and the world is scary, and this is not worth it, and I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not strong enough, if those are the voices in our head, that's what we focus on. And suddenly the world starts to look like that. We miss the things that are happening, unfolding in front of us. We have to train the voice in our head. And I'm asking you on the sheet of paper, like what are some things that you can tell yourself to be your own best coach or mentor or parent or whatever framework you want to use, but you've got to do it for yourself. And then can I tell you, you have to train it. I mean, we have to put in the work to learn how to talk to ourselves in that capacity. When things get tough, if we haven't worked that voice out, then the one that comes around is the one that we've trained our whole life. And again, for most of us, it's not all that helpful. It's not supportive. The voice in our head should be our own best coach, our own best friend. I talked about how that voice likes to sometimes try and lie to us. Like you got what it takes. You should just go wing it and see what happens, or you don't have what it takes. You should quit. Don't do it. Don't go up for that, whatever it is, because it's too risky. You'll be embarrassed. I want to talk for a minute about an authentic confidence. I will say that you can't lie to yourself. I mean, you can't just make something up and tell yourself this. I am the best person ever. You just keep telling yourself that. You can't lie to yourself. We have to speak authentically and truthfully to ourselves. I think for me, throughout the day, I span the spectrum of confidence, and I want to talk to you about it. On the left side there, zero confidence. Zero confidence is really fragile confidence. I mean, it's not ready to withstand challenges or threats or adversity. Zero confidence is someone that says, I don't have what it takes. I don't believe in myself. The risk is not worth the reward. I'm just not going to show up. I'm not going to do it. I don't have the energy or the talent. I don't have it. So I'm just not even going to try. I'm not going to show up. Zero confidence. I have felt that. I know you've felt that. Zero confidence leaves us in a place that's like unfulfilled. And then it kind of encourages itself. When the self-talk is saying you don't have what it takes, you're not good enough, don't show up today. When we don't show up and we don't risk anything, we feel safer in that bubble, and then we just keep not showing up. For our zero confidence folks, the world needs you to show up. We need you to show up. We need you. This world needs you. We've got to work on the process of showing up every single day, ready to tackle that challenge and being okay with a bit of adversity and failure, and that's tough. But we love ourselves and we work through the self-talk so we can handle it. Hey, on the far right side is a false confidence. It may be in our industry, false confidence is more likely than zero confidence. False confidence is someone that says, I don't have what it takes, but I'm dang well not going to acknowledge it. I don't want anybody to see it. So I am going to keep showing up and winging it, and I'm not going to ask for help. I won't ask for feedback. And if I get feedback, I'm going to make excuses and challenge it. Like, well, it's not my fault. False confidence is really kind of an arrogant, sort of narcissistic, I'm going to go do it all. And I can't handle any challenge or adversity. I'm going to blame other people, or I'm going to double down on what I already thought. This false confidence actually is like a fake it till you make it attitude. There's been times where I've adopted a fake it till I make it attitude. Here's the thing about fake it till you make it. That person, me, in fake it till I make it mode, is constantly worried that I'm going to be found out. Constantly. If I can just fake it long enough, eventually I think I'm going to figure it out. It's like I'm an egg, and the external is like really hard. And if you were an alien and I gave you an egg, you might think it's solid all the way through. And you'd be surprised when you broke it and you found it inside is this really like fragile, vulnerable, gooey inside. Fake it till you make it is like, oh, the exterior is so hard and sturdy, but you just crack that a little bit and you see the vulnerability and the fragility inside, and that's scary. For someone that's in fake it till they make it mode, that's scary. And so they become hostile or aggressive, or they become defensive because, like, dang it, don't challenge that. I can't handle the challenge. Someone that is willing to kind of like explore and grow, but not go fake it till they make it, shows up and they say, yo, this is like a challenge. This is stretching me, but I'm here for it. Here's what I know I can do. Here's what I'm like not so sure about. They're vocal and communicative about it. They're tapping in help and feedback. They have some durability that says, you know, I can handle some adversity and challenge. And I know I'm not like perfect, and that's kind of okay with me, but I want to grow in excellence. So in the middle there is this durable, authentic confidence that says, I don't have it all. I don't have it all, but I'm here to grow and learn. I'm here to grow and learn. I might just ask you all, just like, when you think, in your mind, when do you think you have those zero confidence moments, and what would it look like for you to show up just a little bit? Just to like encourage yourself to say, I think actually this might be worth it. I'm going to take a bit of a risk. And then those times where you're in fake it till you make it mode, that false confidence, it's like more arrogance and hubris than it is actual desire to learn or partner. What would it be like to give that up just a little bit and ask for a smidge of help? And move ourselves back to this steady, authentic confidence in the middle. Our self-talk should be somewhere in that middle zone right there. Speaking truth, An honest appraisal that's very gracious and kind and loving and supportive and challenging. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Authentic confidence. Performance principle 6. We keep talking about showing up in difficult moments and how we should speak to ourselves, and it's the process over the outcome. And I think sometimes we can get lost in like, so like, what do I do moment over moment? And here's what I would tell you. We have to get excellent at consistency because you can't be consistently excellent. Consistently excellent is perfection. And welcome to being a human, you're not. We're not perfect. Trying to show up and be consistently excellent is just like a path to burnout. I read an article recently talking about how burnout is a sickness of the high performers. I mean, it's really the high performers that start to really feel the burnout because they want to be consistently excellent. I get rewarded by performing this well today. I dang well better perform that well or better tomorrow. And then like day over day over day, that gets real tough. Giving ourselves the grace to not be perfect every single moment, the grace to not be consistently excellent, and instead working on simply being excellent at consistency is really powerful. I drive home after a long day at work, and I sit in my garage. Car is off. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 5 minutes, and I am decompressing from the day. I want to walk in and I want to be dad mode. I feel like my kiddos deserve to have me dad mode, not work mode. And so I focus on, okay, what is it like today? I don't have to be a perfect dad, but I want to be consistent. When I walk in that door, I want to be consistent. Day over day over day. So I take a moment and I give myself the freedom that I don't have to be perfect. I just want to be consistent. This is a path to excellent athletic performance. We're working on maybe like a nutrition goal. Give ourselves the grace that we don't have to be perfect. Let's just be consistent. I'm just going to go to the gym today. I want to consistently go to the gym. And then we extrapolate that over years. And all of a sudden, it's a habit. Like we've done the thing. Performance principle 6 is becoming excellent at consistency because we cannot be consistently excellent. On that note then, we want to talk about motivation. Motivation. Performance principle 7 is that motivation follows action. I think if I wanted to make a bunch of money, I would make a bunch of TikTok reels about motivation. And I would do them in all sorts of settings. Like I would do the corporate place, I would do like the home parent, I would do teachers, I could make a whole series on motivation. And I think it would get tons of hits because everybody wants to figure out like, how do I get motivated? Here's the trick. Oh, no, there's no trick. Here's the truth. Motivation follows action. Dopamine is a hormone that rips through your system. And really the purpose of dopamine is not really to reward you. It's to motivate you towards something that's good for you. Motivation follows dopamine starting to kick off in our brain when we take little steps toward our goal. Motivation isn't magic. It doesn't come out of nowhere. Motivation comes from action. Dopamine starts to rip through the system when we move toward a goal, and then the more closely we get to that goal, the more dopamine we get, and then we reach it, and we get the reward. So dopamine is not really necessarily just the pleasure or the joy or the reward. Dopamine is a motivation hormone. And we get that pumping through the system through taking small actionable steps toward a goal. So if you want to get motivated about something, act. Start in action. We have cadets that'll say, Doc, I got no time. I've got no time. My academic load is too full. I have to be at the flight line. I have to be at practice. I have to be at noon meal formation. I got no time. So I sit down to study in a small block of time, and I am so gassed that I can't even focus. And so we say, I know, that's tough. What if today you don't even study? What if all you do today is get your desk ready, and you get your book out, and you open it to the page? That's it? That's it? Yeah, that's it. Just do that. Small, actionable steps. Do you know what generally happens? They study a little bit. And if they don't, within a day or two of that process, we've grown those small steps so they know how to get their desk ready, they get their book out, they start to read, and it like glide paths the motivation into studying. Small steps, small actionable steps toward a goal is a lovely way to get us motivated in. So principle number 7 is motivation follows action. Consistency is the way forward of small little steps. Motivation follows action. Principle 8 is what I call the growth equation. Stress plus rest equals success. I talked earlier about how important it is to have stress. Stress is a precursor to adaptation. If you have no stress, you do not adapt. You don't get stronger. You're probably not ready to withstand the pressures of the world, including gravity. You got to have some stress. All stress and the system breaks down. All rest and the system breaks down. We've got to have like a natural ebb and flow of life with stress and rest. Stress plus rest equals success. Now for you, I would just encourage, like you take a bit of an inventory and wonder, hey, what things in my life give me energy? Like I feel motivated and excited and I feel good after I do this. What things give me energy? What things get my energy out? What things like take it all away? And do like a little equation and see where do you balance out on the day? Do you have more things that suck away your energy than feed your energy? Your equation is not balanced. We've got to balance stress and rest towards success. I want to mention then that we probably don't honor rest enough today in society. And there's two different ways that I like to think about rest. One is really more passive, and it's like watching Netflix is fine. It's totally fine. But I would say that's like a passive rest. It'd be the same as like I have an injury, so I just go lay down for a few months. Well, that's probably not optimal. We should lay down and rest it, and then also you've got to get back and move it a little bit. Like, let that muscle know it's still good and valuable. There's times where we're going to do passive rest. You've got to do it, but if that's your only method of recovery, you're probably not refilling the system with your stress and your rest equation. So active recovery or active rest for the brain looks like listening to music that you love, going for a walk, calling friends that you love, and chatting with them. For some of us, reading research articles is a way of doing active recovery. Mindfulness meditation, spiritual practices, cooking, things that feed the system and make you excited or content or joyful is a really powerful way to honor rest. Here's an important fact. You were designed to sleep. Humans have to sleep. If there was a way out of it, we would have figured it. But the biology hasn't let us escape it yet. You've got to sleep. And when we look at major disasters, they happen when folks are chronically underslept or the system around them is underslept. I think sleep is probably one of the easiest and most impactful things we can do for our performance. Gaining sleep is critical. Losing sleep is critical also, as we can see here. We've got to honor rest. Reframing in our mind our ability to rest when we need it is powerful. And it's a performance enhancer. Telling yourself or telling your friends, I'm gonna go home and go to bed because I need it, I feel it, is powerful, and it will help you in the long run, I think, actually have more connected and healthy friendships because your brain and body are aligned and ready to go in those moments when you're with them and you give them all of you in that moment. I'm here totally with you because I'm not tired. Talking about health leads us now to performance principle 9. And that's talking about brain health and mental health. In my field as a psychologist, I can get some challenge on this topic, but I'm going to suggest to you that brain health and mental health are like kind of separate things. I was in residency at Wright-Patterson, and it's by Wright State. Wright State has one of the largest cadaver labs in the United States. So folks donate their body to the cadaver lab to be studied. And so we went there and we did a brain cutting. It was gnarly. We pulled the brain from the back of the skull. I'm a psychologist because I don't like blood, and it was hard for me. I remember holding this brain. God, I remember holding this brain and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I have this whole person's life in my hand. I have like the things that they loved to eat and their favorite songs and the names of their kids. In my hand, I have memories that like they wish they could forget and ones that they never want to forget. And yet I didn't even know who was in front of me. I could not see their face by the way they were sitting. I knew nothing about this person, and at the same time, I held so much of them. It's like from the brain comes this incredible thing, and that is like us and our mental health. I'd like to suggest to you that mental health and brain health are two different things. Imagine for a moment you and I are elite coaches for marathoners. You and I, we coach elite marathoners, and we have an athlete that comes in and they say, hey, coach, I just read a great new way of training, and it's called the no water diet. And so we say like, well, the physiology doesn't support that. No, it's great, coach. So we let them do their thing. And after a week or so, they come in and they're cramping and their times have tanked and they're not sleeping well and they look gaunt and pale. And we're talking to them and they say, I'm just not a marathoner. This is just not my sport. I should quit. And you and I, as their coaches, are looking at them like, no, you gotta hydrate. Why is it true, though, in our world that we'll stay up all night doom scrolling TikTok and we'll put off activities we don't like because we're afraid to get after them? We don't want to address things that really matter because they're hard to look at. We avoid social connection, even though we know it's. Why do we do things that don't feel the benefit of our brain health and then tell ourselves that, well, I don't know that you're anxious. I think actually you need to sleep. I don't know that you're depressed. It might just be that the world looks dark because you won't get off of a social media account. There are things we can do to take care of our brain health, and our mental health will follow. Here's some of them. Daily routines. Our bodies work on a daily routine, sun up to sundown. They always have, and our guess is they always will. Honoring the routine of life is a critical way to recognize that our brain health needs some of the routine. Waking up on time in the morning, going to sleep on time at night is important. Eating at regular intervals to feed this system is important. We should be getting, probably for this room, on average 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and that can move left or right depending on who you are and what your sleep needs are. But if you don't know what your sleep needs are, like if you can't tell me right now, I need this much sleep to perform my best, then I would say like, you're not serving your brain health optimally. Our nutrition is important. Social connection is critical. Humans have always figured out a way to find tribes or families or clubs. We're social beings, and we've got to recognize that. Rest recovery intervals, sunlight exposure is really important, actually. The way sun is interpreted by our brain helps code us for what time of day it is and helps set off a sequence of events to let us move with the rhythm of life well. Now, if we were a sports team, you're a football team and we're traveling to Hawaii to compete, the time frame's squirrely and we're going far away, you and I would work on when should you take naps? When should you go to bed? Hey, as a pilot, you're going to feel the same thing. You should be thinking from a human physiology, human factors perspective, how best do I get a routine that lets me be at my mental fitness best so that I can perform today at my max capacity? I mean, think about yourself in an athlete like that. Physical movement's important. Joy or contentment. So like a regular activity that you engage in that brings you a sense of joy or contentment. And then a social media break. Can I talk about social media for a second? During COVID, shortly after COVID, Europe started reporting what they thought was like a pandemic within the pandemic. Like an odd, squirrely findings started popping up in emergency departments. And then the US started noticing the exact same trends. The trend was this: young adolescent females were being brought into the emergency department by their parents because they spontaneously developed like a tic, like a strange behavior that they couldn't control. It started to look like an impulse control disorder. Sometimes we call it a Tourette's disorder. What's so unique is the presentation was the same for all of these young females. It was the same movement and same vocal tic. And the US started to say, how strange, we've got the same thing. And guess what the cause was? 8 influencers on TikTok that have a diagnosed Tourette's disorder. These young females were so impressioned in an insidious way, they had an impact without even realizing it on their behavior that they spontaneously developed the exact same tic and behavior mannerisms as those 8 influencers on TikTok. And do you know what the solution was? What was it? Yeah, say it. Someone said it. What was it? What was the solution? Delete TikTok. Quit following them. And it worked. Our brain structures are wired for connection and for influence. And when we have something sneaky like social media that's so pervasive and influential, it begins to influence how we think, how we behave, and how we influence the world around us. We know this is particularly true for young females, and we suspect it's equally true for young males. It's just harder for us to identify what it looks like traditionally for a male to be maybe depressed. It can feign as some other things. It's important to say, however, that the brain is wired, and social media has figured it out to give you rewards when you look at it, and then it influences behavior in a profound way. If we want to have command and control over our own thoughts, behaviors, and actions and direction in this world, then we can't abdicate our responsibility. We can't give over the responsibility of our behaviors to something like social media. It is powerful, it's influential. I have social media. So it's not the bad guy in full, but it's got to be regulated. We've got to be mindful of it. Okay, our last principle, principle 10 here, is about responding versus reacting. I grew up surfing. I have 3 little brothers. We would go surf up and down the coast of California, like Southern California area, and we're not good. We were not good. So that meant we had to really work at it. Have any of y'all surfed? Has anybody surfed before? Yeah, good. So you're going to know what I'm talking about here. Help me out a little bit. When you show up to go surf that day, especially if you're not good, you need to stand on the beach and you watch the waves come in. And you sort of evaluate, like, what is coming my way? What's coming my way? Where should I paddle out? And then you pick your line and you paddle out and you dive underneath where all of that white water is crashing. Sometimes we call it the washing machine, the white water. There's a lot of like thrash in that little area, and it's uncomfortable. Someone that is not a very strong swimmer gets stuck in that white water sometimes. And the wave comes because that's just how it works over and over and over. They get pummeled by this wave. Sometimes it like tosses you upside down and you're scrambling to figure out which way is up. And the moment you get a breath, another wave comes. And it pummels them again. It pushes them under the water. And that is scary. You feel like you cannot escape it. Someone who's learned what's called a duck dive, you push yourself underneath that white water and beyond the break. And then there's this like incredible area called the lineup. You sit out where the swell comes, but the wave isn't breaking yet. And you can feel it move underneath you. And you watch it crash on shore. But you get to choose what wave is a good one for you. The wave doesn't dictate your life in this moment. You get to like join it in this just incredible experience of nature and humanity having fun. I think this is like a great analogy for life. The waves of life will come. They just do. And some waves are smaller than others. Some of them we aren't expecting. And some of them we know are there. If we just sit in that white water, if we sit in the thrash and let it pummel us, it can begin to feel like this is all there is. And we scramble to find air one more time and we get a breath and then it pummels us again. This is the difference between reacting to life, on our haunches, worried about what's about to come, uncertain if we can handle it or manage it, and we kind of sit there like, I don't know what to do. Versus thinking to ourselves, okay, how can I build space between the stimulus and the response? Something happens, and then I react in a particular way, and I can either like thoughtfully choose response or I just like let it go. I just let it happen. I think a lot of young adolescent men are in that space. Stimulus and immediate response. Building time to choose response patterns is important for us. Picturing emotions simply as waves of things that happen in and around us, but they don't define us, is very important. Recognizing that circumstances and situations are going to come. And some are going to be lovely, some are going to be terrible. I get to choose if I'm going to ride that wave or if I let this one pass underneath me. Someone cuts me off in line as I'm picking someone up from the school, and I can honk, and I can fume, and I can stew, or I can let it just like pass. I would say like profound joy and excitement is a wave you should ride. Let's go. I think profound sorrow and grief you must ride. And maybe need to ride it with somebody. But I would also say that many encounters, moment to moment, don't need you to jump on that wave and get smoked by it as you get closer to shore. Thinking about our life as a series of events that I get to sit with a community and lineup and choose which one to ride and how to respond. And then when I'm riding that, just be fully present with it and feel it in its full force. As sometimes uncomfortable and sometimes incredible as it is, there's power when we let ourselves experience it. And there's freedom when we can sit outside of that moment. Principle 10, wrapping us up today, is our ability to recognize when we are responding intentionally versus reacting. Hey, you know you're in react mode if you look back at circumstances and you think to yourself, oh, why did I do that? Or I wish I wouldn't have said that. Or why didn't I say? I wish I would have. It's sort of like react mode. Taking breaths, recognizing that these waves come and go is a powerful way to start choosing intentional responses instead of simply reacting. Principle 10. Team, the 10 concepts of a durable mindset. This is step one, I would say, step one of our training. This is training. Your playbook in front of you is to help kind of guide as you work through a few of the concepts and many of the methods. And may we be a group of people that are committed to loving ourselves so that we have something inside of us to love others well. May we be committed then in that spirit to speaking to ourselves in high quality, authentic ways that are supportive and encouraging. May we accept that challenge is going to happen, but we can withstand it because stress is how we grow. And when I consistently show up, talking authentically to myself and relieve myself of the pressure of being consistently perfect, choosing response patterns, taking small actions, incredible stuff is on that back end. This is such an honor and pleasure for me. And again, I'm appreciative of you and who you are in this time together. We have 1 minute for questions, if there are any, and then we're going to wrap up. What do you got for me? Questions? Oh, God, we have one.
Yeah. I'm just curious, since you work with, it sounds like elite athletes.
Uh-huh.
Is this something when you see these type of athletes, you have to teach them, or do you find that inherently they have this already?
Yes, it's a great question. The question is, so when we work with athletes, and I might even say like our flyers, our special operator communities, do they have some of these already in them, or do we have to train them out of them, train it within them, and sometimes train it out of them maybe? Yeah, the answer to that is yes and no. I think if we all were to go take like a fitness test, we're going to all have different levels of performance, and this would be very normal. And then we'd say to you, well, like, what's your goal? What are you looking to do? And then we would match your goal with different strategic like plans to get ourselves through that way. We would leverage strengths that you've already got, and we would bolster some areas that maybe aren't performing as strongly. And the same would be true of the mental game for our athletes. Some very much have like a dialed in focus on caring for routine, but then it bites them in the butt because the moment that something unexpected happens, they lose themselves. They can't handle a disruption to the routine. And so we're working more on adaptability and flexibility. Others sort of live life like YOLO, whatever, you know, I got no plan, no structure. And they're okay with the ambiguity. They're really pretty like adaptable and flexible. And yet that influences then just like a normal cycle of life, and they're showing up to practice underfueled, underslept. And so we're working with them more on maybe routines and time management. Yeah, great question. Is that like a fair enough answer? Yeah. I think in that way for us, there's going to be some things we talked about today that resonate. And so you should go there. And others that won't resonate as much. And it's okay to just kind of like leave that to the side. Yep. Okay. Friends, thanks so much. I appreciate you. I'll stick around for sure. Yep.